welcome to Absolutely Marvel and DC. I'm Sal, that's Hassan, and we're going to be talking about Stranger Things, because we both love Stranger Things.
That we do.
When did you get into Stranger Things? Because we're talking about the first 4 episodes of season 4. We're not doing a recap. If you're watching season 4, you better watch seasons 1 through 3. And
or catch my recap on this channel. That's probably going to go up today, I think, or sometime very soon.
That's some synergy right there, right?
It is. It works out well. Yeah, no, Stranger Things probably came out right at the tail end of me being in middle school, and I didn't care very much. And then when season 2 came out, I binged both of them, and I was like, oh, this is fantastic. I didn't love season 2 even back then, but I was like, oh, this is fantastic. And then season 3 came around in 2019, and it's one of my favorite seasons of television ever across the board.
That's incredible, because I love the show. I remember when it launched, literally just people were like, Stranger Things is out, it's coming. And I was like, my wife and I were sitting on the couch, and she's like, so Stranger Things is this thing people are talking about. Like, it just launched. Should we watch it? And we were like, yeah, threw it on, watched the first 5 episodes just in one sitting, just like, yes. Mm-hmm. And never looked back. Just recently, I was Googling Stranger Things because I don't like to look up anything about it. I don't want to get spoiled about anything. I really enjoy this universe. But of course, and I talked about this in the lost version of this episode, the only time I ever Googled it was at the end of season 3 where I'm like, where's Hopper and why won't he come back? Is he coming back? Like, is David Harbour leaving the show? And it's the only time I ever Googled it, but I don't look up anything. But recently I was looking up something about it. I think it was the fact, I was like, is that Robert Englund? And I'm like, yeah, that's Robert Englund. But I looked it up, and I saw a lot of vitriol about season 3. People being like I remember I tweeted about it the other day. I was like, dude, episode 1 was amazing. And people were like, man, season 3 blew. And I'm like, what? Blew?
Blue?
Like, people are really upset about season 3.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. It must be, oh my goodness. It must be like your side of the internet. My side of the internet loved it. It was actually, so like TikTok is this global machine that it is now, right?
Yeah.
But back in 2019, it was still growing past like musically. It was still, people were on TikTok to make fun of TikTok, not to be a part of it. Yeah. Stranger Things in summer 2019 was the very first viral trend that everyone hopped onto. Everybody was singing "Turn Around." Like everybody was doing their version of it. Everyone was making memes about how they love Alexi, and then like, how dare you hurt this beautiful man, of him like sipping the ices from last season. Like, they loved it. So my side of the internet, Stranger Things season 3 was commemorated and beloved across the board. So
yeah. I just saw a rather like almost convincing TikTok where somebody talked about Hopper's journey and how like season 3 they just threw away all of his character development from the first 2 seasons because like they wanted him to be like the tough guy 80s cop like template, and I'm like, yeah, they kind of did, and I don't care at all.
They changed Eleven's entire power set. They did. 11 was like having trouble like crushing a little can of Coke, and then in season 3 she's going and like throwing people through walls and stuff.
Yeah, she's Jean Grey now. Like, give me a break.
It's incredible. But and you're right, they threw it out the window. And I think that in 3 and 4, everything that worked in 3 carried over into 4, and 3 and 4 are more of a succinct narrative than the other 2 are. And I'm okay with that. I can live with that, because in season 2, they're still toying around with the notion of like, Eleven's going to wear this edgy leather jacket and go to Chicago and meet the other numbers. Remember that one episode?
Backdoor pilot? Like, what are you doing? What is this New Mutants garbage?
It was so terrible, but no one talks about it. I think season 3 was a soft reboot, and it was great because before you had to like live off the motif of like, it is during Halloween, that's why it's spooky. No, in Stranger Things season 3, it was a summer 80s adventure. It was Stand By Me with monsters.
Totally. No complaints. No edits. Yeah. But so season 4 opens. We're not gonna recap it. We're just gonna talk about the show.
Yeah, we can just talk about what we liked on it. And spoilers ahead abound. Everything in front of you is spoilers. So preface it, I've seen everything that's out so far. Sal's seen the first 4 episodes, but they are releasing it in volume. So volume 1 is through episodes 6 or 7 or 8, and then volume 2 is everything afterwards, because the next 2 episodes are 2 hours long each, which is crazy. I can't wait.
I saw the runtime for every episode, like an hour and change per episode,
a movie.
I was like, are you kidding me? Like, you can feel the budget on this season.
You can,
which I'm sure you love, but also looking at how Netflix is just imploding, I'm like, I bet I feel like you're regretting this decision. But I couldn't care less. Like, this is like a $600 million 9-hour movie. And I'm like, literally, I'm here for it.
it feels like and I always thought that the humor in Stranger Things is very Marvel movie-esque.
Yeah.
Like it's very on the nose with the occasional like joke that runs too long but is so funny that we don't care. Like the turnaround. I rewatched it with my friend last night for the very first time of her seeing season 3, and the laugh out loud moment of during this incredible high stakes finale, they start singing their duet. Gaten Matarazzo, by the way, I think he's just got cast in something in Broadway actually, so he's
nice.
Continues to do incredible things. But yeah, it feels very Marvel movie, the humor, but my God, I don't like graphic stuff. I don't like horror. I stay away from it. Stranger Things is so horrific and I love it. And this season, they dialed it up to, not to, in pun intended, dialed up to 11. It's crazy this season.
No, I'm here for it, man. And I got tell you, like the gore and the violence in this season, I mean, like, I think it's pretty thematically consistent throughout the show. Like, there's nothing that happened in this season where I went, whoa, like that really pushed the envelope. I feel like any of the horror has always been, you use a little bit of effects to punctuate it, but it's been much more understated. It's much more about like how it affects the characters, which is the best horror and the best storytelling. It is all about these characters. Like, one of the things that I'm glad we got a chance to talk about with this show is that I love how this show makes me feel.
Yes.
Every season I watch after, like every time I'm done with this show, I feel young. Like I feel like a little kid. And it's so hard to capture that, like, and bottle it in any way. And like, I think that's what Marvel movies are so appealing to some people for, and I think that's what a lot of these movies are for. And like this show in particular, it just scratches an itch. And I know that, like, you know, some of our peers in the scope talk about how, I mean, it's, you know, you see like New Coke references. Like, there's a kid. I think Will has a The Thing poster, or maybe it's maybe it's Mike. And I'm like, first of all, there's no way in '84 there was a Thing poster you could buy. Yep. Like, that is just for me, and I appreciate it. It's very much like an idealized, like spit shined version of the '80s. And but I don't care at all because I just love how it feels. It's like a Spielberg picture. Like, Spielberg is like all about the feeling and the and capturing that like, character, and that's what this is about. Yeah. Also, it just happens to be really engaging, and the story is really cool. And like you said, like the horror aspect, like I think they're playing with it. This is '86. They're playing with the monster, like the slasher. Like this is a straight up Nightmare on Elm Street homage.
It is, starring Freddy Krueger himself.
Exactly.
As Vecna, as the monster, which is like, wow. That, I mean, the idea of them getting him for that is perfection. I was never a big 80s nostalgia. Like, I grew up in the early 2000s. I was a 98 kid. So, like, I never had 80s nostalgia. I like Stand By Me, and I like some of the 80s films for sure. But I've always loved this. I love period pieces, so I like the fact that they're using walkie-talkies. I think every single time I'm done watching Stranger Things, I'm always like, let's go buy walkie-talkies. All of us have cell phones with cameras, but I really...
way better walkie-talkies now, yeah.
I really, really want walkie-talkies even now because I think it's just such a fun idea, and the show plays with incredible concepts, and they do it in such an engaging way. You're talking about that feeling of happiness. So like when season 3 came out, they did a collaboration with Fortnite. And during that summer, it was 2019, Fortnite was still at its prime, at its peak in its initial run. It was still chapter 1. And I had this group of friends where we would play every single day. And it was our favorite thing to do. And Starcourt Mall, Mega Mall, was put into the game. So you could literally go there, and it was our favorite drop. And whenever I would be in like a crazy intense fight, I did this, and we were all streaming at the time too. There's loads of clips of this where I would, instead of saying, hey guys, there's 2 guys on me, I need help, I would just start going, turn around. And I just sing louder and louder and louder, and I'd almost always like win the fight. It became like this running gag of like I had to sing to win.
Yeah.
But when I was watching it last night, I felt so like, I don't think I've had this kind of nostalgic joy for something in so long. And for me, it's the last real thing I watched before the pandemic started. So it's the last thing that feels like life beforehand. And then into this season, it had big shoes to fill.
Oh, big
it did.
time.
And this season doesn't have anywhere as much joy as the last season. Like, there's literally the joy has been sucked out of this world.
Yeah.
But it's been like actually sucked. Like, you know why it's been sucked out of this world.
Yeah. Well, and it's deliberate. I remember around episode 2 or 3, I'm like, is this whole season about trauma? And I mean, like, it's about trauma the same way that Batman Begins is about fear. You know, like, yeah, obviously. But at the same time, it's one of the first times when I was like, because I watched Stranger Things for the experience, for just the euphoric experience of riding along these kids' journey. In this case, I was like, are they all thematically about something? like that's kind of cool, and I appreciate that. That's like that's the theme, and they're driving it through, and they're using it. I think they're using it smartly. Like it's not like the Matrix movies where it's like, no, I know you got a narrative and it's going in this direction, but I'm going to make it about this thing and I'm going to steer the ship anyway and I'm going to ruin the whole franchise just to make my point. Like, no, like it's interweaved. The COVID point you made earlier is also a really important one because you don't feel the post-COVID shoot that everything has, where everyone is like 8 feet away from each other or CG'd into the location. Like everyone feels... This is like coming home. Like season 3, you had a great time. You're with this like whole family, and then you get to season 4, and it's like we're back. We're back. Like now, and everything in pop culture has been trying to fill the void since COVID. To be like, here, you're back. Here's something normal. Here's something comfortable. This is comfort.
This feels perfect. This feels like I'm home in a real way. That you said it best. You said it absolutely perfectly. You know, it's a fun piece of continuity too. In Stranger Things season 3, this is actually like not a bad thing, like, man, they messed up, but they changed directions. In season 3, when it ends, Max is really happy.
Right.
Max, like, she's not happy. She doesn't talk about Billy and like they don't touch on that, but they're singing a duet. They're doing the turnaround. They're making fun of Dustin, and she's like laughing with Lucas. Right. And then we get one scene of her looking kind of sad during like the outro. But when you pick up in season 3, I was jarred because I literally told the person I was watching, hey, when you're watching this, disregard this scene because it's awesome, but it's not in continuity. Max just lost her brother, and that's what you need to stick with. Yeah. And then they lead into grief and addiction in such a real way. Tell me the last thing that happened on your episode, the episode you're watching.
Joyce has been betrayed by Yuri.
Mm-hmm. And then what's happening with the kids?
And Hopper got caught. Oh, the kids? Oh, they just saved Max.
Okay.
With music.
Was that not one of the most incredible sequences you've ever... My entire body was like, I was just like praying to a God I don't even believe in, just like, please, Maxine, don't die.
No,
and
I was like, and this show could do that. Like, they could kill Max because you have like so many freaking characters in this show, and they had the audacity to be like, here's some new ones. Like, here's some new characters. Yeah, like, I don't care, but I do now. Like, okay.
I love him, the little stoner idiot Argyle or Eddie Munson. Like
Eddie Munson, I was like, well, this guy's gonna die, and then I'm like, no, maybe they won't. I was so on the fence
about him. I was like, whatever, he's here. And then him and Steve have the dynamic where it's like, why do I want to impress this little kid? Like, I hate him, but like, it's like there's so much joy in it. And the Dustin like getting an ego this season, which he had it last season too, but it's really pronounced. Like, it's just the way he says stuff. Like, why is he? It's so great. It's so self-aware, and that's what the show did best in its pilot season, its early seasons, that it was like, okay, we don't really know what to do Steve Harrington character. He's a douchebag. And then they did one scene of him and the kids, and he's like, we lean into this. And now they've leaned into it holistically, and it's like, when it's Robin, Steve, and Dustin on screen together, it's magic. It's magic. Amazing.
No, Steve has easily become, after season, like, after his redemption in the Byers house, I was like, I love Steve.
Yeah.
And I have never not. The sequence, I think it's in season 3. It's the opening sequence where Steve and Dustin are reunited and they have their moment. I'm like, okay, so Steve's my favorite character because and why? Because he has an arc. Because you're supposed to hate Steve in the first like 2 minutes of the first season. And over time, you realize that like, even though this is a kind of like black and white 80s pastiche kind of like thing, this famous bowl of references and everyone's supposed to be a cookie cutter character, no one is what they seem, and everyone is like multi-layered. Like everybody has depth except for the Russians.
Yeah,
so
which I love.
Which they're Keystone Cops. They're the Nazis in Indiana Jones. Like they're supposed to be. We're supposed to root for our heroes. End of story.
We are, and we even added a gray element. Now we have a faction of the U.S. government trying to hunt down 11 in them, and that's like, what a great idea that is. Like this show has played around with such amazing concepts so well, and then they've toyed around things but did not land. Like season 2. Remember when Billy is a racist?
Yep.
And then he's not. And now he's a MILF hunter, dude. He's busy.
That's very true. Yeah, I don't know what that's all about. I remember being like, okay. Every time I see Mike's mom, I'm like, you almost banged Billy.
Yo, you did.
Like, you're gross.
Which, it's hilarious. Well, hey, Billy was 18. No, she is gross. It's not okay. But like, the scenes with her husband are so funny this season. There's a couple.
Yeah.
I think they might be later, but there's just like one or two. They're not. It's not a lot. And then one last season where she's like, this guy sucks.
Yeah, this guy sucks. Like, what have I done?
So boring. He's so boring.
Yeah.
And he's so cookie cutter. Like this, they play around with so many stereotypes.
I'm waiting for them to give that to them. Like to make, because Mike's family, like Nancy is the only element of Mike's family that has like depth and does anything, participates, has agency. I'm waiting for like Mike's parents to play any role in this. Because like everyone's parents in this show are clueless, but also, except for Winona Ryder, but she's also clueless, but in an active way.
Yeah.
But everyone's clueless, but they all mean well, and they all want you to succeed. And they're all very supportive. Whereas Mike's family is just kind of like, well, I'll get my influences from anywhere else because these two just, they're the most stock suburban people ever. Like, they have no personality. They pay the bills. They give you space. End of story. They don't care where you go. I almost would have been
more interesting for her to get in a relationship with Billy.
Right?
And then she got that speech last season, which I guess was lovely, like where she kind of inspires Nancy.
Yes.
Nancy, I have trouble. Nancy's probably the only character that I think I like will go on and off with where I'm like, I kind of hate you sometimes. Like you are like, I'm not upset that you and Jonathan seem to be on the rocks a little bit. Like I'm good with the drama and the tension right now because you just kind of middle. But I like that we've kind of reintroduced a love triangle, but not in a CW hack me way.
No,
not at all. It's not hack me. It's very like, you're right.
It's earned. You want because now it's like, dude, like before you were rooting for Jonathan and Nancy to get together the whole time. And like, screw Steve. Now you're like, I mean, what does Jonathan bring to the table? Like, Steve's grown. Steve's cool, you know?
No, and Jonathan could find somebody that makes him happier. I think it's like he's not happy. He having to feel the pressure because last season, Nancy is a bad girlfriend. Right. The whole time. She's just all on her own shit. And it's not shocking that like that's something that he wants to get away from. And Steve searches for the purpose, his purpose in life.
That's true. But I like Nancy. I like that the time that she's in, you don't get the kind of agency that she has and that she's seeking. And the only way she's going to be viewed through the lens of her peers and betters or superiors is going to be one of derision or skepticism. Mm-hmm. And so when she's pushing, she has to make waves and she has to push harder. I think that one of those things where she's with Jonathan, I think that she's like, I love Jonathan. Jonathan loves me. I don't have to work as hard on that because that's something that's understood, as opposed to me having like a career or me being taken seriously. That's something I really have to focus and push on, especially at this young age.
Yeah. Especially a woman in the 80s as well. Like she had to make work really hard to get everything. Everything outside of their relationship, I've always really liked about her character. Like her ambition.
No, the Jonathan thing is always. But I think it's because Jonathan's so passive.
He is.
It's just kind of like what do they eat? Like they love each other because he's always loved her. That's very Star Wars. That's not really like. There's not a lot there. I get why Steve has liked Nancy, and I would get why Nancy might like Steve now. Because Steve's actually like a person.
He's hot too. Come on, look at him. Look at that 80s hair.
I love Steve. No, I would.
I love him so much. He's incredible.
No,
and Murray is a character. How much fun have we been having with him? Of just like him speaking fluent Russian and his whole like bit where he's like just like he cackles the way he talks, the way he does everything. He's probably been. I mean, like another character that you know for a fact when they started this, he was a character that was made to get to a story, like a plot line.
Yeah.
And now he's an integral part of the show. Now you have this Joyce plus Hopper plus Murray dynamic that is so integral to the adult storyline. You know?
That's right. That's right.
And he's been, Winona Ryder, by the way, the redemption arc of her as an actress, when she lost her career was because she was arrested for shoplifting a Chanel dress.
Right.
Right now in 2022, she is the cover model for Chanel's fall collection.
Is that true?
That is true. That's when Winona deserved it.
And she does deserve it.
Literally, my girlfriend pointed out last night. She was like, "Do you never notice that Winona Ryder is only in iconic stuff?" Like she's not in anything that's not like a pop culture or a life icon.
Phenomenon. Like, no, it's true. Like I don't like her in many things. I like her in things that she's best suited for. When Hollywood sought her, like I remember there's a whole segment on the Aliens Resurrection DVD where they're like, we're so lucky to have Winona Ryder. It might be one of her worst performances of her career is being the android in Alien 4. And they're so proud of themselves for getting Winona Ryder. And it's just like when they were when she's actively pursued by studios that don't understand like why they want Winona Ryder, she sucks. But like when she's in Beetlejuice or Edward Scissorhands or
my
this,
God. Yep.
she's incredible. Dracula, I'm like, oh, it's just like Francis Ford Coppola just heard she's great and put her in there. She and Keanu Reeves deserve each other in that flick. But she's incredible. That was this. Yeah, no, season 1 of Stranger Things. It was like, oh, I hope this is her like renaissance. I don't think it really became a renaissance, but like, thank God she's happy to be Joyce. Because we're lucky to get her.
Her chemistry with Jim Hopper, David, what's his last name? Harbour. David Harbour. Oh my God, their chemistry is amazing. Yeah. That scene last season, it is easily one of my favorite moments where Murray yells at them, either stop fighting or pull over and fuck right now, whatever. And then he tells Alexi, he goes, what was that about? Oh, I told them they should have sex. They haven't had sex yet? And then they just bust out laughing and they're talking in Russian. It's like one of the most hilarious, endearing moments of the whole entire show.
It really is,
So they've been such a great like heart of that. This show is excellent. And Vecna is so scary. Vecna is horrifying. Not for like jump scares.
No.
I cannot imagine having to fight that creature in my mind.
Right.
Like my darkest pits, my grief right now, the things happening in my life. How could I escape that? What song would ever get me out of that hole?
That's true. Yeah, I don't know what my friends would pick for my song. I love that Vecna seems to be, for the most part, practical effects. Obviously, all the tentacles and stuff are fake, but like that there's a dude in a suit, that they're not making him do ridiculously complicated stuff. I like the fact that they've created a like bad guy in the Upside Down. Like the concept of that adding to the mythology and there being like the Upside Down's always been there and it's been around for a long time and he's this element. I'm like, I'm here for it. Like I don't need a book like a bestiary of the Upside Down or a map or anything. Like I don't need ancillary merchandise. But I do really appreciate, in the context of the stories we get from the show, the context and the background that we do get. You know, like showing us, like, because the things we do remember, like, oh, that's not, like, that's the house, but it's the upside down version of the house. You know, like that you could deal with, like, portals and stuff and end up in different places. Like, there's so much of that I remember when Max was in the Upside Down for a little while, I was like, isn't it if you're there for too long, it like messes you up? Like, remember when Will like brought something back with him because he was there for like however long season 1 lasted? It was like little tidbits like that will like remind you of stuff you watch. Like I haven't watched season 1 in years, like since it came out. I don't rewatch a lot of shows. I watch them, I enjoy them, and then I move on. But I remember it. Like I keep this stuff at the back of my mind. And it's like, and the callbacks in this season, like in season 4, referencing stuff that happened in season 1, 2, and 3, they're not like cheap. You know, we do liken it to Marvel because it feels like it is very much like a product and it is made like very carefully. And it has a lot of like great, like obvious, or at least more generic style humor and jokes. But also it looks really good and it's well shot and it's well cut and it's got really good acting and like the world building isn't like, hey, remember Endgame? Like, it's not just reminding you. Remember the mall? Like, the only time they refer to the mall is when this girl's trauma took place. Cool.
Yeah. The town mourning from 30 people dying in a fire.
Totally.
And no one getting to know. Billy was a hero. They don't get to know about that. So there's so much stuff. This season, what it really did was, unlike other shows, which I think jumped the gun on building lore, they waited to see what actually worked. Yeah. And then they built the lore around it. So I no spoilers. You have more lore on the way in the next 4 episodes, and you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it because it is well done. It feels robust. It feels well thought out, and it also is clearing up. Like, oh wait, that makes this make more sense. That makes this make a lot of sense. Yeah. Oh my God, that they do such a good job of just like articulating the entire narrative of this world without creating years and years and decades of like, here's all the history you need to know and how was this, who was the first being born in the upside, like none of that BS. It's just all the characters we have. We now know why we have them. We know where we got them. We know how we got there. So we're going to talk more about that on our review of Volume 1, when we finish that, we'll probably do that Friday or whenever you get around to it. But I'm excited to talk full spoilers for that. But the half of the season you watched already.
Yeah.
It feels like you already watched a whole season of television, right?
It feels like I watched like 3 movies. You know, like it feels like I've watched multiple movies. I feel like I've seen an entire season of TV. Every episode I watch, I'm shocked by how I don't want it to be over and how much I got. Like it feels like it's an incredibly satisfying meal. It's not just like I had a whole smorgasbord and I shoved my face and I feel horrible afterwards. I got too much stuff, or I'm hungry for more. In this case, I'm like, I can stop. Like that's why I haven't watched the whole season, because it's like I can watch. Like last night, I watched episode 3, and I was like, I really need to see the next episode, but I don't need to watch the whole show. You know, I could just watch the next episode, and I get a whole damn movie because of it.
Yep, and I envy your self-control there, because I did not have it. I was like, I need everything now, but it was. Even me, I didn't know there was a volume 2. So I actually thought the finale was what I'd watched before I looked it up.
Yeah.
And it was a complete cliffhanger, but I was so satisfied being like, okay, it sucks. I'm going to wait. My tension's up, but also like, holy shit, did I not just watch one of the most incredible things I've ever watched in my life? So knowing that there are 2 more episodes, 4 more hours of content left in the show, I'm just like, the Duffer Brothers, I'm praising you. Thank you from now on, movies should only be made by Taika Waititi and brother combos, okay? I need the Russo brothers, I need the Duffer Brothers, and nobody. If you don't have a brother, you don't get to make a movie anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Get out of here. It was so just horrific, upsetting, jarring. Like the season actually opens with one of the most
sequence,
the most horrific sequence ever. It had to open with the warning. It said, "Hey, based on the news that's happened recently, just want to let you guys know this was filmed a year ago.
Right.
This will look familiar." And for me, I hadn't looked up a lot of what had been happening in the news up until the night before. So this one, like, I'm glad I got the trigger warning, because it was like, oh my God, dead children everywhere. Oh my God.
Right.
But it's like to open with a sequence like that.
Yeah.
The show earned it, though. The show
It did.
did earn that sequence, because other shows will try it, and you know, I can already see Barry Allen in The Flash and being like, "There's so many dead children, Iris. Oh my God!" It's like, shut the fuck up, Barry. You suck.
Yeah. No, this was It like you said, it's earned. Like it's one of those things where they don't just do it for shock value. Like this is the kind of violence that Season 1 set a tone, right? Like season 1, they could have set this tone where it's like, if they wanted to go bigger or go darker or go more horror or more violent, it would have been met with resistance. But they set the tone right away that like no one is safe, but not in that kind of like The Boys, anyone can die in a horrific, like jokey murder kind of way. And just like no one's safe in terms of everyone will be affected by the story. And but it's not made by miserable nihilists who want you to like watch a Wild Bunch equivalent, you know, of a children equivalent of the Wild Bunch, where it's like, let's watch all these kids who are friends forever, we'll grow up with them, and then they'll all die. Like, I'm not worried for their safety, but I am in the moment, which is the most important time. Like,
see, there was a lot of criticism that Max didn't get killed. They said would have been the most spectacular sequence if she died.
Absolutely not.
Completely disagree. It's perfect. It was perfect. I thought she might die in that sequence.
Me too.
And my relief when she didn't, I would not. And I think I probably would have, like, if they chose to kill her, I would have had a lot of grief, but it didn't feel like it was earned yet.
No.
Max deserves to get through her grief. And if she dies, she dies. But this wasn't the moment.
No,
we're not going to have this monster kill her, because the monster could kill a lot of characters right now and have weight to it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of characters that have been in the background of the show for 4 seasons now. But
that's true.
Maxine wasn't ready to lose her storyline. She's only been in 2 seasons of the show.
Yeah.
We forget that she's not an original cast member.
Right. And she's kind of underutilized. The actress, Sadie Sink, might be the best actor on the show.
Oh my God, she's incredible. And this is deep cut. If you like Taylor Swift at all, Taylor Swift put out this movie called this 10-minute short, All Too Well, for her 10-minute version of a song she dropped. It was about her relationship with Jake Gyllenhaal. She actually picked Sadie. She said she wouldn't make this movie unless Sadie Sink played her in it. So there's a 10-minute film on YouTube, like whether you like Taylor Swift music or not. It's an incredible short film where Dylan O'Brien plays, you don't know it's supposed to be, you're not supposed to know, but it's Jake Gyllenhaal from their relationship, right?
Yeah.
And Sadie Sink plays Taylor Swift, and it is incredibly, incredibly well done. And you watch that, and you watch this, and you're like, damn, she's got the chops. Like,
She does.
holy crap, she's gonna do some incredible stuff.
Everyone in this show is great. Everyone's doing a great job. Sadie, she rises to the top. Like, she has a future. Like, because her work is understated and subtle, but also she's like able to be overt. Like, there's moments where, like, when she's reading Billy's letter, it's bringing her to tears, and she has been so guarded. She's alone, but she's still wiping the tears away quickly to try and recover and like hide her. And I'm like, I've seen that. I've been there, and it's like that kind of understanding of character and that way to express it. Like, it's just really damn good. I should also mention, we haven't talked about this, and it's because I don't think anyone's favorite character is Mike on this show. And my wife and I have similar but still different opinions about Mike. I think Mike really needs an arc, like that isn't just he loves 11, because Mike is kind of a dick. And like Mike is such a byproduct of his parents. Like, Nancy's like, I am a woman, I'm pushing it, I'm trying to, like, I'm breaking out. That scene, you completely reminded me. I forgot about the scene with Nancy and her mom, which, like, her mom's like, do it, like, be audacious, like, push it. I'm like, right on, because she didn't. Good call. But Mike is very much like, he expects things, he takes, he doesn't give, he doesn't share. He's very he's selfish. He's a selfish character. And I think Finn Wolfhard does a nice job with that if he knows that Mike is supposed to be a dick. Like, throughout all of season 3, I'm waiting for Mike to learn a lesson, and he never does. And I'm wondering if this is one of those situations where, like, the Duffer Brothers don't think Mike needs to learn a lesson. And I hope they do. And I hope, because it feels like it's just been building for 2 seasons or more, where it's like, Mike is selfish and needs to learn that, like, he takes his friends for granted, and he may be like the glue, but it's not enough to be that. It also has to be like take like active work in a relationship to make it work. I'm waiting for that. When
he gets off the plane and he's like, "Oh, what's up, dude?"
Yeah,
like his attitude, I was like, it was weird. Also, they're pushing. I think they're doing a Will is gay storyline.
Oh yeah, Will's gay, definitely.
Which was. It's a callback to it's
season
not even
1.
A callback season 1, but also season 3. He says, "I'm sorry you don't like girls," and that could have been a reference to like you don't like girls yet, but they say that. So I think Mike's storyline won't happen until Will comes out to him.
Yeah,
I think that and I'm hoping that's what they're doing. I think Mike has been like, he's smart, right? So he has his moments where he's like, I like Mike, but you're right. Mike hasn't had a ton. I think out of that whole cast, he's definitely had the least to do. Because even Lucas this season has been really, really fun. Yeah. When Lucas talks to Max,
it's good stuff.
Oh, the little pit in my chest, like the young man in me who's still, in love with being a kid and in love with an old, like, it's just like, he's just like, I'm here for you. Like, you talk to me. I'm still here. You turn into a ghost. Don't be a ghost. We're still here. And it's like, damn.
No, I know.
The kid grew up so much. Yeah. He's so much older now. It's hard to look at this cast because obviously we're doing some hack me stuff with the story because they're aging much faster than...
you know what's funny? Like, it's true. Like, Will, I'm like, you're an adult. But at the same time, I buy it because they are freshmen. I remember being a freshman and feeling like I was a little kid, like a little baby boy, and then like working in a school and seeing freshmen, and I'm like, you're like 8 feet tall. What's happening? Like, the kids age and grow so fast. It's such a perfect time to they didn't know that they were going to have that gap of time because of COVID and everything, but but it was the perfect arrangement of time for them to grow into these ages because it's the most time when you're going to look the weirdest. So you should definitely it works. My point is it works.
It does. It looks, and it was less about the main cast members. Mike's little sister, you'll see her later in one scene.
Erica, she's incredible, by the way.
That's Lucas's little sister.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She's in a bunch. She's like a main character now. She's part of the
she's a main
Motley crew.
I love her.
Which is great. I didn't love her in season 3. I thought her delivery fell flat here and there because I think she had good dialogue because we talked about it a lot, me and my friends at the time. This season, she grew up. She's a great actress.
Yeah,
and she's killing it. She's great at being snooty and it feels less of like annoying, poor line delivery. Now it's like, this is funny and engaging.
Yeah.
Mike has a younger sister. We don't talk about because
I completely forgot about that character.
Well, last season, she's a literal child, like a baby almost.
Yeah.
This season, she's not. And it's absolutely hilarious. So I can't wait till you get to that scene and see it because it's like, I didn't realize how much older she got till last night when I rewatched season 3. And I'm like, wait a goddamn minute. She's like so young that like the Ferris wheel has like the security bar.
Yes.
She's, like, underneath the security bar holding on.
Oh my God.
She's like, Mommy, I see something moving in the trees. And now she's like
totally forgot
a
about
grown person. It's insane. But
That's awesome.
I'm so glad that we've gotten to grow up with these actors and
Same.
like with because it's crazy though. I will say like the stress of them and their lives to be the most famous children ever and like forever.
Yeah.
They're the most famous kids of all time. Like, you know, so all of the actors handle it in very different ways. I like to like watch career progress, and like Sadie Sink really went she's like an interesting actress. Millie Bobby Brown went kind of like the celebrity paparazzi news style celeb.
Yeah.
Noah Schnapp is very much like a man of the people. He's always posting on TikTok and doing dances.
Cool.
He's like been in my comment section several times. Like
Aw.
that. It's sweet. I have my own little Stranger Things connections here and there.
Dope, man. I wish. Like, I love this universe so much. Like, I want a piece of it. And it's
Yes.
like, I'm happy to be an observer, but it's just everything about this works on so many levels for me. Because it's like you have the connectivity to the kids and their newness and their naivete and the adventures they've been on and the history that's implied. And you also have like the adults and their journeys. It's not like they got like some really great writers who knew kids. They got great writers who know both, like who can tell an engaging journey for a person in their 50s, 60s, 40s, 20s, teens. Like, it works. Like, and it doesn't feel like it's whiplash. You're like all over the place. It is every scene where you're like, you just get enough of a sequence or a story, you cut to the next one, and it's all going to flow together. And I have just at this point, season 4, I have total trust in them. They're going to pull it off. It's going to feel like a hat trick, and they do it every time. I'm fine with that.
And I'm locked in. Like I've never had this, especially the last couple seasons of television. I've kind of lost a lot of trust and faith in writers and directors.
Same.
I feel like studios and production houses have gotten in the way of a lot of really amazing storytelling, but a lot of writers have gotten in their own way. I think they've gotten bigger egos and thought they could do more than they can. And there's nothing wrong with doing what you can. The Duffer Brothers understand their scope so well, and I don't understand their scope. It's the storytelling they've done in 4 feels so much older and more mature than 3. But I thought 3 was perfection. So it really has been just like every single episode, I am glued. Like the reason I bought the TV I have downstairs feels like I bought an 85-inch TV when I got my very first YouTube check. And I was like, this is a big waste of money and I hate that I bought this. No, I bought it to watch Stranger Things season 4. And my God, it looks magnificent on that screen. And I'm so happy to have it. This show is incredible. And if for people that have fallen off, I don't know how you watch 37 minutes of review and you've fallen off the show.
Right.
You love it, I'm assuming. But if you know anybody that's fallen off, talk to them about how important it is to watch the season, because this season, it feels like the morning season that we all needed so that we can all get back to our lives really soon. That's
totally fair.
We're going to move back into the real world. Like COVID, quote unquote, is over. It's not over. But you know what I mean? Like that we're moving into that next chapter of our lives again where new things happen and we're not nostalgic for the last 3 years, because the last 3 years feels like 1 year. Feels like a year of our lives.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like
one.
crappy one at that, you know, but I feel like this is a moment. I'm so glad that we got to review this together.
Same.
Because we haven't gotten to do a show together. And when I was messaging so many times in the chat, they're talking about all this other stuff. And I was like, Stranger Things.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, we'll talk. Well, if you want to talk about Stranger Things, I've watched only the first 4. I'm not going to shotgun. And that's the thing is like with this, I don't want to shotgun this show. Yeah. And I was really worried too, because I remember, you know, like every other streaming service that's all harpooning the whale that is Netflix has doubled down on the weekly release, and Netflix is the only one that was like, no. Then they went, well, how about we just cut the show in half and then release the second half later.
They actually did that because they're not done with production yet.
Oh wow! I
'Cause
didn't even,
it was
I just
so-
assumed it was just to combat the like Disney Plus.
It was
juggernaut.
purely because they wanted to release the show, but they couldn't finish all the episodes, and the Duffer Brothers refused to put out a half-done product.
Good.
So like the CGI is probably comparable that we could watch and we'd be fine.
Yeah.
He wants it to be his masterpiece. He doesn't want to do any George Lucasian 10 years from now
we'll fix it
re-releases.
later.
We'll fix it a dozen years from now.
Yeah.
No, they want to do it now, and this is the first show that I've watched that I loved, that I binged it. I think it would have been better as an episodic, because I think for the next 10 weeks, no one would talk about anything other than Stranger Things if it came out week to week.
Agreed.
But we're going to talk about it for the next 3 weeks, hopefully. And then in a month, we're going to talk about it for another 2 weeks. And then it'll be done.
Yeah.
And then it'll be another year till we get Stranger Things 5. And then the show will be over. So I hope they've learned their lesson here, if Netflix is still around in a year.
I hope they survive long enough to have funded season 5.
Yes.
Because they don't even need to distribute it. They could just have made it. And
Just
then
make
someone
it
else
for
can
us.
put it out.
Yes, I completely agree, because I honestly will probably cancel my subscription after this season's done, because I'm not watching anything on there.
No.
I don't even watch like my background shows. My background shows are on HBO Max now. Like
Right.
I got to rewatch Young Justice for the third time.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, that's an understatement. I've watched it 5 times. But
Fair.
yeah, this show is it's firing on all cylinders.
Yep.
Don't miss out on this cultural moment if you're watching this. If you watch this review, we didn't spoil enough in this for you not to enjoy the show.
Agreed.
We spoiled one reveal of Max not surviving that one sequence.
Yeah, which is
but
really,
even that,
it is a shame, because I did love the tension of not knowing if she's going to
yes.
survive.
Oh my God. I'm looking forward to, so like my best friend hasn't watched it, my girlfriend hasn't watched it yet, to watch them watch it.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that like I can't help but like live and feed off of that energy.
Yeah.
We considered doing commentary tracks for this season, that instead of like just talking over the entire thing, and I was like, I will do it for literally any other show, but for Stranger Things, like I can't make a joke about it while I'm watching it.
No.
We can rewatch it and I'll make jokes about it the whole time. Don't worry, I got 1,000. Like don't worry about it. But God, it's incredible.
I hope that there is more. Like it's easy to talk positively about the show because it works so well, and because there's care and effort that's put into it, from the writing to the direction to the acting to the cinematography, to the sound design, the music choices. But I want it to be successful because I want it to culturally influence the rest of what we're consuming. Like you said, we're gonna talk about, like July, we're gonna get the whole rest of the season. I bet we only talk about it for a week and then it's over, because that's how long it takes to watch a season of shows that have been released in one day. And I think that's it. And it's just like, this is too good, or at the very least too positive and healthy for us to ignore it and then move on to like a really poorly produced Disney Plus show. Cause I don't know what the budget is. I bet you do. Like for each episode,
I don't know it offhand. I'm gonna look it up right now.
Because I will say She-Hulk has a budget of $25 million per episode, and Everything Everywhere All at Once cost less than one episode of She-Hulk. So it's like
$30 million per episode.
$30 million. It shows, but not in a way where you're like, look at that completely CG character. Like there are no completely CG characters. Like
Wow, they did this for $30 million? I'm actually shocked.
Yeah.
Because, like, look, it looks better than any fucking thing Marvel has put out this year.
Yeah.
And I say that with nothing but love. I was on the other review show, guys, for Multiverse Madness. I liked it a little bit.
Yeah.
So, that said,
Doesn't look
this
anything
show,
like this. Looks better.
Nothing. It's so much more. It's incredibly well done.
Yeah.
Wow. That's what $30 million gets you. Holy cow.
Per episode, right? Because it's like, so
Yeah,
the
$270 million for the season.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's like the budget for Multiverse of Madness.
I'm pretty sure the Multiverse of Madness budget, hold on, it was like $500 million, right?
Oh my God. No, should
Multiverse of, yeah, for sure.
Oh my God.
Because Avengers Endgame
was like $500 million.
No, you're right. It was $200 million, so it was $70 million less.
Yeah. No,
okay.
we've reached a limit on like Endgame. I understand why that would cost like $400 or $500 million, but like every other Marvel movie, no, 250 is your
Endgame was $356 million, and then let me check. Spider-Man No Way Home.
I bet it was
budget.
250. Spider-Man 2 was 200.
It was $200 million. Wow.
There you go.
Okay.
But it shouldn't cost much to shoot at a middle school. Like I'm shooting regular people in a middle school. We're not even in the Upside Down much. Like obviously the Upside Down is all CG. And that's really what it is, right? Like Max being in a completely CG environment, like, all right. And it looked good.
It looked great. It felt like a mindscape. I felt like I was in a mind prison. Like that's that's what I feel like. If I get psychically attacked by some fictional character one day,
Right.
I hope it looks like that.
I hope it looks as good as this. This is really impressive.
The CGI on this is incredible. This isn't. You're gonna
dead.
die. I'm here to kill you. Wow.
Wow. The budget.
Yeah.
Mwah. Props to your
God.
PA. But yeah, well, there you have it, everybody. That was our thoughts, at least on the first half, I guess, of the first half of the
first
season.
half of Volume 1 of Season
we
2
go.
or Season 4 of
Season
Stranger
4.
Things.
So if you like this, check us out. And of course, watch Hassan for more. Watch here at Absolutely Marvel and DC for more reviews on everything you like or don't like out there. Subscribe. We'll see you guys next time. I'm Sal.
Peace out, guys.